Welcome to the second episode of Bucky Talk with special guest Will Feurer.
Hey man, hey, it's nice to be out here, Cam. What's up?
Not much, apparently. I don't know if there's any Wisconsin news that's happened recently. Nothing that I can think of personally. Or
Right, yeah, man. It's just been a crazy day in itself, and then it's been stacking up on top of each other as of late.
yeah, yeah, it's been rough. Um, I was gonna put something out about James Madison, and that was set to go out today. Obviously, due to current events, that did not happen. Simply,
Well,
simply because of some portal business that was going to talk about potential portal targets, roster return, and then everything kind of went downhill. So yeah,
I guess so, man. I
yeah,
mean, just today in specific, everything that's been going on, it's just been stacking on top of each other. Seemingly, been hearing some stuff. You've been seeing everything unfolding. Storr going to Kansas is huge. Just in it's not Storr himself is not a huge thing for us anymore. It's like obviously he's gone, long gone, but
hmm,
more so in the sense that it's like he he went to Kansas for just a bit under a million, which is
yeah,
it's like that's crazy money, dude. It's like I think even better we could talk some more about NIL too.
yeah. No, I think that's certainly one thing. I think also we should mention that Chucky Hepburn did enter the portal today after some interesting developments that have happened over the course of this week. He's good friends with Frankie Fiddler. And then Frankie Fiddler announces his top four. Wisconsin's obviously in his top four. He's set to commit Monday. He goes on a visit to Michigan State and he postpones his commitment. And then it's obviously like kind of gone downhill from there. I you can read through the lines here, but then there's
Yeah,
some massive NIL. I'm hearing 725,000 offered to Chucky Hepburn. So I think there's a certain amount of I don't know if you would call it tampering, but there's something going on. But yeah, it was
and
something.
man, the craziest part about all of it, it's like you got all this stuff going on. And the thing is, like a school like Madison, like you got everything you could possibly want around you
Mhm.
to build that NIL culture, like just like acclimate essentially to what's going on today and to like today's college sports world. And the bottom line is we're not meeting what needs to happen in order for us to be successful in a world like today, where it's all money based in college sports now, where it's like players will leave your program if you are not giving them their desired pay. And they don't care really how good you are in a sense. It's like if you're not giving them the money that another team is offering, they will leave you. And
Mhm.
I just I think a school like Wisconsin is just lacking in that department completely. We have all the assets we need, a great campus. I'd say you'd have a great college town just in general,
Mhm.
and it just seems like we're just lacking in that department a bit. Where it's like we need to be able to put some stuff together with money, and just I don't even know how to explain. We just need to do a better job just trying to acclimate to what's going on in the college world right now, and I think that's really kicking our butt as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just specifically with basketball, I think we're doing pretty good on money, but I think it's the ability to have cash at the front. I think specifically with a lot of college athletes, they don't know what's provided for them next after college. So you can't like promise them like, hey, we'll give you this much down the line. Like you have to have that cash up front. And I think that's maybe something where UW maybe struggles with. So I think I one thing I will point out is I saw something that was like, I wonder how many of these people that like are so sad about Chucky leaving. I wonder how much they've donated to the varsity collective.
Right,
so
right.
so
That's like the thing is,
'cause
the thing is, man. It's
I
like
don't think we're gonna ever I don't think we're ever gonna get like that money enough to bring Storr and then also keep Chucky because I mean
and
I can't be dishing
that's the
out.
part that sucks. It really sucks that it really came down to something like that, where it's like I hate to say, man, our fans should not be having to donate money to get our
Yeah.
guys to stay. Like that's a culture issue. that's some. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Coach Gard is completely out of the picture here. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's
No,
a culture issue. It's just a thing where it's
it's
like
an
you.
NCAA issue. It's an
No, I
NCAA.
know,
That's what it
and
is.
it's like it's literally become like free agency, and it's
Yeah,
crazy. Like
it's college free
free,
agency.
it's like if you can think about it in this sense, like free agency without contracts, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually just would just be ridiculous. But that's what it's come to, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden we're all acting like this is something that we didn't ask for. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like
And
we.
then what
I
doesn't
think
help is you also have like the Tennessee situation where they literally pushed back on some legislation that would have at least helped start to set the groundwork for the NCAA to actually do something. Is you have Tennessee winning and then like that kind of going away. And now I think they're starting to put more regulation down, but I certainly don't think it's enough. And it's starting to penalize a lot of teams. So
and it's all kind of like a money game. Like I said at this point, it's like free agency with no restrictions, nothing to it. It's like it just doesn't even become a college sport anymore. It becomes more
mhm.
so a thing where it's like where
It's like
can I make my yeah, like where can I make my living? Like you got people
mhm,
who are making in the healthcare field, for example, making a touch under six figures to over six figures.
mhm,
And then we got college athletes going there and getting offered close to $1 million just go play for our team.
mhm.
Who, I mean, like there's no saying like no bashing anybody here, but it's more so a thing where it's like these athletes are getting paid more than most people are making in about 7 years of work, which is something
Yeah,
crazy to think about in a way. Where
yeah,
it's like these guys are like it's like we'll pay you 750K out front, but there is no contract you have to sign that says you have to stay here with us. It's like we'll
mhm,
just give it to
yeah.
you and you can run away with it, do whatever.
Something to point out is that Caden Proctor situation at Iowa,
Oh, I
where
know it.
he where he got a massive check from. They at least had like I think something written in their contract to say like he wouldn't have got the money if he like had to play like a certain number of games and then he just left.
Right.
So I don't know what happened, but like it's almost like I don't know.
It's
I
it's kind of
what
crazy.
I guess is kind of the snowball effect of like Caleb Williams really was the first that snowball for this to happen. I think specifically in Wisconsin sports, we were
Mhm.
apparently up there with Caleb Williams and we just couldn't offer him enough money. I mean, because his
Mhm.
dad wanted to come here, he wanted to go to USC, and I mean that I feel like that was kind of the first first domino to fall. And then once like donors are like, oh, we can put down this much money, like that I
Yeah,
think that kind of set us on this path. And so
and
I think
you
there's
see
also
the
there's
thing
also
that
like
kind of interests me a bit is it's like you've got all these programs offering massive bags to all these players, and it makes you kind of wonder. It's like, what are we doing so wrong that it's
yeah,
like that we can't give this up? But all these other schools, who I'd argue, man, Wisconsin is up can be up there with any given year with any of those teams,
hmm
but we still struggle to give what these athletes need to keep them and to get other like studs, like for example, like a Caleb Williams guy to come in here and just take
hmm
things over.
yeah. I mean, people are gonna make a point about like football and how we were able to get these guys to follow and where they're going, and I think that's a good point, but that's only through some trial and error. Maybe this is like a massive wake up call, and we're finally waking up. And with a couple of guys who are in the portal, I'd like to see us go get a Seth Trimble, a Tyrese Hunter, both who are ready to take visits here at Madison. And I
Mhm.
think we could potentially see Tyrese Hunter
Yeah,
going to Badger next year, especially with his links to Kamari McGee. Well, then that's honestly that feels a little bit like the Frankie Fiddler situation, and you know that it's that same kind of dynamic. Let's see if we learn from our mistakes and we give them some cash up front. So I don't
exactly.
think
And
it's really UW lacking the money. I think it's more how we're presenting it.
right, and I think there's something to be said about that whole idea where it's like we have the money, we have the resources needed to get guys to want to be here, get athletes in general to want to be here, but the spot that we lack is like we just don't know how to use these resources and just put
Mhm.
them all together. And then all of a sudden, it's like we have all these people wanting to come here. We just haven't found that yet. And I think that's something that we need to find sooner rather than later because at some point, man, it's just gonna completely tank all of our programs. And this like it shouldn't have ever came to this to begin with, but sometimes you just gotta acclimate to what's in front of you. And I think they've just done a poor job of acclimating to what they really need to do to get things done and keep competitive.
Yeah, and I think the ability to just almost to hijack a roster has completely upended what I think was a sincere idea in NIL. It's kind of like this is now the repercussions of it. And
Right.
people are gonna tie in the NIL to like the CFP and all of that whole drama. I don't think that's really, I think there's little to no correlation between all of that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think specifically with like something like basketball is, you see how Calipari's and Purdue's and the Illinois, they've all gone after like 6 year seniors or 5th year seniors who have like played at mid majors and now they're targeting these guys and saying like, hey, we'll give you this much. Maybe Wisconsin turns into one of those schools for a little bit once we start to build our base. Because I mean, it's like how Calipari would extort the one and done rule. I have a feeling that's going to be the new NIL until they put some new legislation down. And obviously, with the NBA instituting like the G League Ignite and players starting to play in like Australia or Europe for a year before they come into the NBA, like that whole one and done rule kind of lost its luster a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. One thing I do want to talk about before we get back to our NIL is we've lost an insane number of people just this offseason. So now we've lost AJ Storr, Connor Esigian, Gus Yalden, Isaac Lindsay, Luke Hurdle, Ross Candelino, Tyler Wall, and now Chucky Hepburn. It's That's a significant number. And honestly, there might be more. I honestly I don't blame him, but I could see a Steven Crowell, potentially even a Max Klesmit leaving. So that we're losing a significant number of spots, significant number of point production in our offense, and just starters, rotation guys from our team the last 2 years. And I'm really worried about next year, especially if people are thinking it's going to be guards last. Like this is going to be his last chance to like get over the hump, get to the second weekend. He is not in a good position right now. I mean, I want to believe that because I think Guard's a good coach. I don't think he's adapted well to the NIL era, and I don't think he's adapted well to the modern game of college basketball. I think we're still a little too reliant on just having a big that can go down low and doesn't really have a perimeter game. I mean, you see that with Steven Crowell, but then he's not at the strongest down low when playing high quality bigs. So I think he needs to adapt his philosophy a little bit. But at this point, if we have this many departures, there has to be a conversation about is this the right guy for the job? Because we can have a coach come in and build his roster from the ground up and really set an identity early in what they want to do with Wisconsin basketball. Maybe that's a discussion that needs to be had with the amount of guys that are leaving. You just don't give them a blank slate, start fresh. We'll be bad for a year, but it's going to be able to build the blocks to get us to the next level and kind of get over this hump because Wisconsin right now kind of feels like a program in purgatory where we're just kind of sitting there. We're in the tournament. We'll have good teams, but we're not going anywhere. I don't know.
Right.
What do you think?
So I think it's always like there's also always multiple factors that come into it. I think the thing that's kind of interesting to think about is that these players that are transferring out weren't like obviously Candelino, Harrell, not our best players. Let's be fair here.
No.
It's like they were. they had a chance to maybe play some garbage minutes, but like other than that, man, I don't see a whole ton. But the thing
Hmm.
that I have noticed outside of AJ Storr is that these are all players that we recruited out of high school.
Hmm.
And so it's like when
And
you
Isaac Lindsay because he
right,
went to
and Lindsay on top of that. Lindsay, we didn't necessarily recruit him out of high school hard at all, but
no.
he came over and
I think
honestly
his
didn't really
dad.
play any
I think his dad played under Bo or guard at Platteville or something. That's why
yeah.
like it was such an
Um,
easy connection. So
right. And so I think the thing that's kind of interesting to think about is like you gotta find a way to rebuild like what you have going. And but it's like it all ultimately anything that we talk about is all gonna somehow fall back to the NIL deal.
yeah,
And that's just how it is. And it's like, and I think the thing that's kind of tough to think about here is just like we don't have a very consistent shooter on this team. We have two bigs who are fairly proven between Winter and Crowell. Like Crowell's fairly proven, and then I'd say Winter's making his way up. I think that the loss of Chucky is huge. You lose leadership. You lose just that virtue where it's like you lose the face of your team. And I think losing a face like that is super detrimental to the team just in general. And you kind of wonder, it's like, how do you replace that? And I don't know what the answer is at the moment.
yeah,
It's all kind of new and kind of just a thing where it's like, well, what do you do now? And I mean, I guess we're gonna have to just see what really unfolds here. If a guy like Tyrese Hunter comes in, that's a step in the right direction. But the issue is that it's like that guy's Hunter's gone in a couple of years tops, like
yeah.
1 to 2. Um, if you want a good program, you have to consistently be able to recruit guys who want to play for you, who are good, and everything along those lines. And I think we had that in the season. I think we did,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I
That's the
do
one that
think
hurt.
no, I know.
That's the one that I think if Storr, Chucky, they all decide to transfer early, I don't think the season leaves
I don't
at
think a
all.
season moves either. And I honestly think right now he's probably rethinking his decision a little bit, like not
Well,
completely.
did you see that he just deleted all of his commitment, all of his visit posts?
I did, but I think he's going to Indiana. I think that's where
I think
I've
he
been
is
hearing,
too.
and that's the
I
thing.
heard Xavier and Cincinnati were also another two schools that he was thinking of. He hadn't visited there yet, but I think they were pretty early in the door. Ah, you're unmuted. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. And so I think that's also something that's kind of interesting, where it's like you just have all these factors coming into it, where it's like you have guys like Chucky leaving, and it's almost like, what do you do now? Because you lost a season. That was your young talent. Where it's like, if Chucky were to get hurt, I feel okay because we have a guy like a season who not as good of a defender, but will get the job done.
Or we have a
Now you
black.
don't
Yeah.
Yeah, now you don't have that. And that's
Hmm.
the thing that's kind of a thing at the end of the day where it's like, well, it's always that, well, now what? And I
Hmm.
think that right now we're kind of in a state where it's like, what are we going to do to change the situation? What are we going to do to improve and feel good going into next year? Because right now, I don't think you have any fans, anyone on a part of this program, like fan, coach, players are probably even starting to question what's going on with our program.
Hmm.
Um, and at
Yeah.
this point,
I mean,
you got to find that identity, and you got to figure out, and you got to just go for it, and you just got to hit the ground running because we're at almost an all-time low in recruiting.
I think this is probably the worst I've felt about Wisconsin basketball going into a season ever. Like, I mean, we always have like promising players, and I think we have promising players. It's just with the state of NIL where it is right now, it feels like everything's in constant limbo.
Yeah,
Um, I honestly don't know where you go from here. You could go out, you could go get like a guy who like Chris Vogt was a couple of years ago, and you get
thank
these
you.
one-time transfers, like try and find your Domask, your Lance Jones. But then the problem is they're going to be pretty much by themselves. Like there's I don't know what you do. Like you're pretty much just by yourself.
I know, and if I were to be honest here, this is the worst spot we could be right now at this point
Yeah,
in time.
yeah.
And it's like everything's reopening. We're seeing everything unfold. there are still good players in the portal, but the question is like, I don't even know because I think no matter what happens, until we get that NIL situation fixed, it's going to be hard to bring in recruits, bring in guys that want to
Yeah.
play, bring in
Yeah.
guys who are great, very talented players. And it's just bad because we have guys like Daniel Freytag coming in who says he's fully committed. Is he fully committed after everything going down? I guess we'll
Yeah, you
find
just
out.
said that. Yeah.
And so it's like when we have a guy like that coming in, you got to try and do whatever you can to keep him at this rate. You got to do whatever you can. I have a strong feeling he'd start on this team next year. At like if assuming that this team wouldn't change.
Yeah.
And so I it's brutal. You just don't even know what to expect at this point because
Yeah.
if Crowell transfer out, all of a sudden you have one player with starting experience on that floor with Kuzma.
Yes, and it's
Assuming
Max Lemon. You don't like Chris Hodges got some actual quality minutes this year, but it was like 3 minutes. It was I think it was the Purdue game. It was the Purdue twice. I think what else? What other games did he get minutes in? He got like some other like minutes against like quality bigs, and he was all right. I mean, he wasn't notable, but it's Chris Hodges.
Offensive presence is lacking, but it's
Yeah, he's not going to be a starting big. I mean, maybe like a 1 year stretch, and then I don't know, but you want to get someone who can like come in and start. And I think what's big for me is if we get Tyrese Hunter, I'll feel a lot better about where we're headed because that shows some commitment to the NIL, to the portal, and it seems like we're starting to figure this out. So
and it's kind of interesting also to think about this. Like, what if we somehow pulled it out of the hat that we somehow landed Trimble and Hunter? All of a sudden,
yeah,
I'll be like, it's like maybe we're actually going to be just fine.
maybe we learned from that Chucky Hepburn situation. We're able to like figure this out. And you know what's funny is everyone like dogs on guard for not going after Tyrese Hunter. What if we get Tyrese Hunter and then like that shows a little bit of improvement to me. And
yeah, it's interesting. Definitely
I think the recruiting aspect he's doing a good job at. I mean, I don't think Bo gets a Daniel Freitag. I don't think Bo gets a Connor Siege, and I don't think he gets a Johnny Davis. I mean, he got Sam Decker, and that was probably his best recruit in the state of Wisconsin. So, yeah, the whole recruiting aspect of it I don't know what to make of it. I think Guard's a good recruiter. It's just how he pairs it with NIL that I'm a little worried about.
And that's the thing is that there are teams who do it all so well that all of a sudden I'm kind of sitting here and I'm like, wow, it's like we are really behind on the game here. It's like
Yeah.
the ball can get rolling. You see guys transferring into the football program. You see all the stuff going on. You see us getting better recruits in all sports, I'd argue. But we just have a hard time picking up like the veteranship that you need. And in today's day, it's like if this was 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, what do we have to worry about? Nothing. We have nothing. We have a solid program. We're not worrying about this team leaving if this is 2021. And we have nothing to worry about. We have almost everyone will be returning because they don't want to sit out the year. They know that no matter what, the money that they were probably getting is not even close to what they're getting now, maybe like a fraction. And it's just something to think about where it's like take that stuff away and we have a pretty full roster coming back. And where high school recruiting really was something where it's like it will make or break your program. And today you're at a point where it's like if you don't get a guy like Freytag, you better be able to back it up in the portal. And we can't do that as of right now. And so I think holding on to those high school players is fundamental to like building a winning program. Because if you can start building around that with high school guys who are, I don't really know how to explain it because it's like all of them are into the money now, and it's like they like to see the money, and it's almost irresistible. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Most people are gonna be that way. I'd say 90% the population is going to see 750 cases in there. It's like, all right, it's like, you're a solid program, I'll come. And
Yeah.
it's just tough because you have a guy like Freytag. How much do you think Freytag's getting? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. It's nothing
He said the
close
money
to what
doesn't matter, but like at a
it has to be
certain point,
for.
there's a number where it starts to matter, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing is like it's all based around money at this point in time. And
Hmm.
so a guy like Freytag, if he stuck around and we were able to get some guys from the portal, it's like I'm feeling pretty comfortable going in.
Hmm.
Blackwell would be huge to keep, but I honestly I'm kind of worried that there are guys who aren't getting talked about today. Like say we've heard rumors about Chucky. Chucky left. We've heard
Hmm.
rumors about Klesman. We've heard rumors about Crowell. I kind of wonder what about these guys who aren't getting talked about as much? Blackwell, Ilver.
I don't
Ilver's someone
I
like
don't
that. It's like
I don't think Blackwell's gonna go because he I think he's loyal to guard. I definitely think Ilver could be a guy. Boy, who else? I don't honestly I don't know who else could really transfer at this point because we just wouldn't have a team. I don't think Jack Janicki is a guy who's going to transfer because he just redshirted. But like I don't see it happening. You know, I
and
just I see it.
it's oh, man, it's just brutal. It's like a guy like Jack Janicki, you could only hope maybe he could see the floor in garbage time at this point. Or like
Yeah,
as of this last season, you could only hope that he would have seen the floor in garbage time. But now you're looking at Jack Janicki like you might be playing significant minutes next year. If you're not ready, we're kind of screwed. And if
yeah,
you get to a point in your program where you have to say, if you are not ready, we are done, you are in a very bad situation. And I have a bad feeling Guard is having some talks right now with those guys. So it's like you need to be ready because
yeah,
odds are Marcus over if he has a transfer, he's playing half of a game next year.
yeah.
And
He
and
could be in the starting lineup half the time. It's either going to be
and
him or Carter Gilmore, and
that's the part that's kind
yeah,
of
it's
ridiculous when you think
brutal.
about.
It's really
Like,
brutal.
I know, and it's just kind of crazy because we're at a point in time where this all is just unfolding in front of us, and it still hasn't even processed in my mind that we don't have a starting five next year.
We don't. Yeah,
Well,
we
unless
have last year. I think we returned like 70-80% of our scoring production. I think maybe it was all of our scoring production. I think we lost like 78-79%, like a very high number of our production. Because like
yeah,
Blackwell, Crowell, Pleasant, who else? Who else was coming off the bench and getting minutes? None
the
of those guys.
season obviously, the
Yeah, but
season was
Egan's
obviously
gone. Yeah.
gone, long gone.
Yeah. I really don't know. I'm going to take a quick break. I want to thank our sponsors, Badger and Boujee. They are doing some fantastic work working with some of the players on the volleyball team, working with some of the other athletes like Sarah Williams. And they have some shirts coming out soon that are partnered with Caroline Crawford and Sarah Franklin. The money goes directly to their NIL fund. So if you want to help support some Badgers in this NIL world, you want to follow and buy some of those Badger and Boujee t-shirts. You can find them on Instagram and anywhere else. I'm sure they have a TikTok. I'm sure they have a YouTube. You want to go find them, you want to follow them, and you want to buy some of their stuff to help keep some Badgers.
For sure. And as you guys know, it's just as important. It's more important than it ever has been in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, I think
that's
it's a fitting topic today.
very fitting,
So,
man.
yeah,
It's, it's, it's kind of crazy, uncanny how legit this is at this point in time.
yeah.
Where
We
it's
don't
like
want we don't want the volleyball program to
you
go
don't
down the
want to
drain.
see
We don't
Sarah
want the women's
Franklin
hockey
transfer,
program
man.
to go down the drain. That's about all we have
You don't
left.
want to see Sarah Franklin get offered $1 million to go to Nebraska, and all of a sudden we're in shambles there too.
Yep. Yeah. We can't have that happening. We at least need
And
something. Yeah.
and so yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like you kind of wonder. It's like when if the thing I'm trying to think about here is like when you're thinking about the growth and the life of a program, it's built around culture, it's built around tradition, built around can you recruit high school players who are constantly wanting to come in, like all the top prospects that want to come in and compete. And Wisconsin is lacking that. Well, let's be fair, it's gotten better. It's still lacking a bit.
Yeah.
But it's almost like at this point, it's almost like a if we can't recruit, does it really matter? Because we're getting all these 3 and 4 stars. And I'm sitting here, it's like I think about it, and I don't mind it. But then you think about it, and I was like, is this guy gonna be here in a year? Is he going
Hmm.
to is he going to get beaten out by a guy like, for example, like Nick Evers just recently hit the portal.
Hmm.
A guy that as Badger fans know, Badger football fans know it all. That guy started Badger transfer portal mania, and and
He was the first. He was the first.
he was the first. And before it all started unfolding once again in front of us, we genuinely thought this guy was going to be the best thing since Russell Wilson, and it was so funny to see how excited we got over that. And now he's just gone, and
Yeah.
it's like we see this all happening, and now all of a sudden he's gone again. And so we're obviously it helped us in a way, helped us in a few ways, but all of a sudden now he's gone, and so obviously shout out to Nick Evers, huge contributor to the Badger transfer portal. However, it's like at a certain point in time, it shouldn't be coming down to that. Um,
Yeah.
it should be coming down to can you get high school players who are talented and want to play for you? Because that is the stuff that builds that culture. Like that's the bridge between all of it. A team that recruits all these guys from the portal who are 5th and 6th year guys. I have to say you have no culture going on at your school. You are
Hmm.
relying solely on veterans, leadership, and talent to get you there. And ultimately, that's not going to get you to the promised land. It
It's
might, it
not.
might, it might get
It,
you close, but if you have all these guys that you're bringing up to from the start who are studs, know that every in and out of your program, I'd feel a lot better about that.
and I think specifically, just we need a culture, and I think at least in football, I'm starting to see it with the kind of guys we're going after. I mean, like we have Landon Locke coming in, and he's a highly touted prospect. I mean, obviously having Braden Locke helps, but the kind of wide receivers. I don't remember having a wide receiver as good as Will Pauling since Quintez Cephas. I mean, Danny Davis was good, but he's not putting up the type of numbers that like Will Pauling is. And Quincy Burrows is looking fantastic. Trech Kahuna looks amazing. Like
Yep.
it's I I don't see this happening with many other guys, and specifically with UW is I want to see it on the basketball front. I want to see us commit to a style. AJ Storr didn't really fit into our play style, but he was good regardless. Chucky Hepburn fit into our style. Connor Season did not really fit into our play style. So maybe we're like trying to, but we have to build a brand that goes with this singular style.
Yep. And maybe that's a thing where getting rid of a guy like Guard is going to make you rethink what we're going after. Because,
Mhm.
like, after today, saw day today, I sit here and wonder, it's like, if we got rid of Guard, obviously the coaching market in men's basketball right now is, unless you can pull from somewhere else, it's not looking too hot.
Mhm.
So I do think all things considered here, you're not sitting too bad, but I think you definitely just got to start looking into what style do we need to get after, like you were saying. And if that style is going to mean that we need guys who are 3 and D, that means that we need guys who are 3 and D and a big. That's what we need
Mhm.
because that's something that Chucky would not fit that. Essential would depends. You're kind of missing the D part in the 3 and D player with Essential, but
Mhm.
like I do think you can develop.
Blackwell, we need more like if we could play with 5 John Blackwells that all varied in size, we'd be a phenomenal team.
Exactly, dude. Like you just wish you could maybe find something like that, but like it comes back to in today's day, you're not going to find that 5 guys like that who want to come play for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of got to pick through and make the best of what you got. And that's
Mm-hmm.
ultimately what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, what I remember from just this year's tournament is we didn't even play good defense. We didn't shoot the three at all. We played horrible from three. We played horrible on defense. And honestly, I think the Big Ten tournament is a phenomenal end of season. That's a run that I want. I'll never forget just because like it got me so excited.
Mm-hmm.
But it honestly means nothing if you don't perform in the tournament. And
Yep.
if guard style isn't working in the tournament, I think that shows that something needs to change. And I was give guard one more year because I think like we could have had a really good team going into next year before literally everything just collapsed,
Right.
you know? I mean, now I'm like, we're I don't think we're gonna be very good next year. Get a coach in who wants to rechange the identity and give him full reins about what he can make for this this new roster and just let him go. There's
Mm-hmm.
no reason to like not have this. Just let him go. And
And,
give him the money, get his guys in. We might not be good next year, but we will be good because we have this identity. We're sticking to it. We're putting the groundwork down and but I
and
don't I don't see that happening with guard because even if we stick to his formula, it's proven to not work essentially unless there's like a massive change. College basketball
and
10 years ago is not college basketball today. And I think guard might still be lagging behind in that department. And it'll win us games. It will not win us tournaments. So,
no, I know. And that's the thing, man. It's like I don't think it just changed college basketball from what it was 10 years ago. I think it's changing everything, every sport. And
mhm,
that is the thing. That is like this isn't just affecting college basketball as we're seeing today. This is affecting everything in the college like sports in this era. And like I think it started a new era in a sense where it's like now we have to start putting the hammer down on some of these athletes.
mhm,
Like the thing is, like these fans and everyone can criticize them as much as they want. Do you think these athletes care? It's like they're getting paid 7 times what you are in a year, and I hate like just to go with no contract,
mhm.
and that's the whole deal about it, man. It's kind of a spot where there is a spot of return. You can fix this. There is time to fix it, but until that time comes, which I don't see happening for another year to two until it really like things have already gotten out of hand. When things really start like getting out of hand, like I don't know what that's quite gonna look like yet, but I don't want to know what it's gonna look like. Um, and in that sense, it's kind of making me think it's like we gotta get fixes, but until that time happens, you have to acclimate to what's in front of you.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate thing is you have to acclimate. And one part of me is like with everything that happened with Michigan this year and their whole transfers, we see the NCAA trying to crack down. Part of me is like, are we just trying to play it safe to make sure we don't get any NCAA sanctions? But even with that, I'd like to see us do something. Just please do something because it feels like we're not doing anything, you know?
Exactly, and that's the ultimate thing. Is like if you're not doing anything to help yourself in today's age in this college sport world that we have, you're not gonna win games. You won't win. You might compete. Like I could see you competing. I could see you winning some games. I could see you upsetting some teams. But you're not gonna win the championship.
Yeah, you're not going to win the big ones, and that's kind of what UW is known for. Is we're used to competing for Rose Bowls. We're used to being in Final Fours. In We're used to being at the top. We were always that 10-win team. Maybe we weren't there some years. We're not the Alabama, of course, but
Right.
I mean, 7-5, 6-6, and first round exits. It's not what I'm used to. Maybe it is for some people. And on the basketball front, it's people will point out that like, oh yeah, Bo didn't make a tournament. Bo didn't miss a tournament. Bo he also didn't get past the Sweet 16, but that's what we were accustomed to. We were accustomed to Sweet 16s,
Right.
and it's just dropped off. And people will say like, "Oh, it's McIntosh," but no, this was happening back in Alvarez too. This
Right.
started, I think, almost after the CFP. We kind of started lagging with football. We had a few good years under Chris, and we were good, but it's kind of just been downhill. I mean, even those years with Chris when we were 10-2, and but we got shellacked or we got beaten the Big Ten championship back to back years, and we weren't really competitive
Mm-mm.
in at least half of those games. And then I don't know it's just in on the basketball front, even under Alvarez, we'd have shocking first round upsets under Bo, but we were always a good team. We were never like playing Wednesday in the Big Ten tournament. We were never like, is our coach on the hot seat kind of bad, you know?
Well,
That that's kind of where it's gone. And that's not on McIntosh. I think it's just Wisconsin's inability to adapt. And we've proven that we're able to do it with other sports. And I like where the football program's going. I certainly like where the women's basketball program's going, and hockey's been phenomenal. And volleyball's always been incredible. But what about we got to do something with basketball, because that's that's just you have to do something. You can't
you're
just have
known for it.
Bo. It's kind of like Granado with the hockey team. We were good, but we just kind of were there. We didn't
Yeah.
win anything big. We had one year, but that was really Cole Caulfield. It wasn't like he had assembled some phenomenal miracle on ice team. It was just it is what it is. It was there. Badger men's hockey was there, and we had a good season this year. But I think with basketball we had a good season this year, but it's the same season we've been having for the past 10 years, with the
Right.
exception of two of them. Like we've lost to a 12 seed in the first round 3 times in the past 10 years. We've gotten like upset in the first and second rounds. I don't know how many times in the past 10 years, and it's just
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
thing. We
It's,
got to
it's,
do
it's
something.
the thing is, it's like at this point in time, is there a right answer? I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer. I mean, the thing is, the thing that I'm sensing with the football program currently, that I think the basketball program could also pull off, is that I think that what Chris had, this type of I formation offense, like we
Mhm.
were so tired of it. We were like, this isn't going to win championships. It wasn't going to win championships, but it won you some games that you shouldn't have won, and that's
Yeah,
just how it went. And I just remember like looking back on some of those. I was like, it's like I kind of miss it, but at the same time, in today's day in football,
it's for the better.
like it's for the better that you just get rid of it. It's
Mhm.
like have it there, keep it as an option, but you do not like need that formation to be successful. I'd say more so it's like changing how you're doing things and adapting. Like the football program is adapting to what's going on.
Yeah,
They're changing to shotgun. They're changing not like they called it an air raid. It was never going to be an
we
air raid.
got we got Phil Longo, and even then, he's still trying to keep people happy by like having a good running game, which I'm like, just throw the ball. I mean,
Right.
we played LSU. We kept trying to run the ball, but our quarterback had 4 passing touchdowns. You got to know when to just chuck it deep.
Right.
And like if that's your MO, just do it. It's to me, I'm not like a sentimentalist. I don't need to see us pound the rock 30 times in a half and to be happy. I want to see us win games. I don't care how we do it. as long as it's not like Michigan and we're cheating. I just want to see us like win games. It's the same thing with basketball. It as long as it says Wisconsin on the jerseys, as long as they're wearing red and white, I'll be there. I don't care how you're doing it. Just figure
Right.
out figure out something that works now and stick with it. Like if it's adapting every year, changing your team every year, do it. That's fine. You don't have to stick to the same thing that's gotten you there for 10 years because that's not the way it is now. And it's not even an NIL conversation. It's just the game of basketball is speeding up. And you see that with the NBA. And I think it's with how they're calling fouls now, is they're really starting to protect the offense because they know that people really want to watch offense. They want to watch people like make shots. They want Caitlin Clark doesn't play any defense, but everybody watches her. So like, and
She
it's
shoots
gonna
the ball efficiently.
yeah, she shoots the ball efficiently. Everyone likes it. She doesn't play any defense, so watch her play. No defense. I mean,
Right.
that's the
It's
way now. Nobody you can't have a 3-and-D team almost. It just has to be threes. And if
and
that's what works, that's what's gonna win us championships, just do it. I
I know.
don't care. Just
I
do
know.
it.
And that's the thing that I'm liking with the football program right now. You're not in the short term here. I think there was a high expectation coming in. Did we meet it? Probably not. But I think the expectation was too high because you still
Yeah,
are carrying guys who are used to running halfback ISO, guys who are running inside zone
halfback
under the
plunge.
center. Like you have
Third and 10,
you are
yeah.
literally running halfback dive every single play. And if there's a cutback lane, there's a cutback lane, but you're going to take 4 yards. Now, if you're not averaging probably pushing 8 to 9 yards a pass, I hate to say it, dude. In today's day, you're probably not going to win many games. Like Navy, I hate to say it, bro. You're not going to win games. You're not going to
They
win big
have,
games
I
running
think there were like
wishbone
three. They
offense.
had like 3 wins last year, and they were only against like other military schools.
Mhm. Yep.
Which that it works against the military schools, and if that's all you care about, like for Navy pride, do it. That's fine. If
Yeah,
that's
right.
what makes you happy and that's what Navy wants to do, that's fine. But like at Wisconsin, the level that we're used to competing at, playing how we used to play is not going to keep us at that same level. So we got to do something. And fortunately, I'm not the one making those decisions. I'm not getting paid that much, so I don't have to make it. Just do something, please.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like it's so much coming into it, and it's I mean, it's just obviously a question mark. We're gonna see what happens in the fall. We're gonna see it firsthand there, and and if it doesn't improve, that's when people are gonna start getting a little concerned about what's going on, because
And
it's like you
I'm I'm gonna say like basketball, depending on who we get in next year, it's not gonna be pretty. Like it's just not.
it will
Unless
not
we
be.
can go out and get like 6 high level transfers, we're looking at like a CBI level team next year.
Yep.
Because like we could have a good starting five, but our drop off from the starting five, which is like here, if we get like a Tyrese Hunter and Seth Trimble and to like our bench, which is like here, which is like Carter Gilmore, Marcus Silver, Jack Janicki, like it's such a massive drop off. Like
It
I don't
is.
know what you're gonna do.
It really is. Just as if I gotta go in a couple minutes, but
Yeah,
last
some
last last few things to touch on here. Big ideas I'm talking about here. We're thinking if the Badgers don't improve next year in football, is it time to hit the panic button, or are you saying we still gotta wait her out? Because we,
I think
you
we
know,
wait a
we,
year simply because of how brutal the schedule is. So what's funny is they made this schedule for Paul Christ, and this is why I hate college football scheduling, is they schedule things so far out in advance that you don't know who's gonna be your coach. So like we made that Alabama schedule like following that 2017 season, I'm pretty sure, where we
Yep.
had gone 12-0. Like, and now we got Oregon as well. We
Yep.
like our
Alabama
schedules.
was literally just there in the playoff.
Yeah,
Just there. And all of a sudden it's like 6-6 Wisconsin's gonna have to face like juggernaut Alabama. And all of a sudden this money making game really just seems like it's just gonna be another one of those like could like FCS Southwest versus like like it's crazy.
I think we'll put up like a good fight, but I don't know.
I don't see the game being a
I'm gonna
blowout.
talk myself into a way that we could possibly win,
Yep.
but we both
Yep.
know that the outcome of that game could not be pretty. But it's also their first year under their coach. I mean, there could be some growing pains. And then we go like on the road to USC.
Yep.
I don't like that game.
I
We
don't like
have
that
like,
one either.
Oregon at home. Like uh,
Listen,
our schedule is rough.
and that's the thing, dude. It's like I'm
I
I'm
just
I'm
an
kind
eight
of
and four.
concerned.
I'd be fine with the 8-4 this year. But
I'd be
even then,
okay
our
with that.
schedule next year might be worse. I think we have like
Seven and
Ohio
five.
State, like Alabama, Michigan,
Oh,
Washington.
dude, you wanna know it's like if we go 7-5, we can't hit the panic button because like the new Big Ten is would they beat out the SEC in total? I don't know. I have no clue. But I think all in all, dude, you just really cannot hit the panic button too early with the football program. The
Hmm.
basketball program, you have reasonable belief to hit the panic button as we speak.
Hmm.
And so it's all a game right now that they're still I think trying to figure out. But if they don't figure it out, we are in some deep trouble.
Yep, we're in. We're this is the proving ground. This is where they make their money. So again,
Exactly,
big
man.
thank you to our sponsors, Badger and Boujee. Go check them out on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Go buy some t-shirts. Just stay in the loop with them. Support your Badger athletes. And thank you. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.